Hi everyone, welcome to Swinburne's Alumni Impact Interviews. I'm Louise McCarthy, Director of Alumni and Operations, and I'm delighted you can join us for this session. To begin, I would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which I'm hosting this webinar today, the Boonwurrung people of the Kulin Nation. I also acknowledge the Wurundjeri people, who are the traditional owners of the land on which Swinburne's Hawthorn Melbourne campus is located. I pay my respects to all elders, past, present and emerging, and hope that the path towards reconciliation continues to be shared and embraced. Our Alumni Impact Interviews showcase Swinburne alumni who are pivoting in COVID-19 and still managing to make one heck of an impact. It's a challenging year for everyone, and when you hear the stories from our entrepreneurial alumni, I'm sure you will be inspired. And who better to moderate interviews with alumni than another Swinburne alum? Andrew Ford started his career straight out of high school into his grandparents' company as a jack of all trades. Now, after a decade of leading digital marketing strategies for some of the world's largest companies, Andrew has turned his attention to discovering how people could best use social media and digital technologies to lead more fulfilling lives. Having founded Social Star in 2009, Andrew now helps amplify businesses, leaders and entrepreneurs through personal branding using those same strategies. Andrew has completed several business degrees, including a Master of Entrepreneurship at Swinburne, where he now also shares his knowledge as digital marketing, professional development and brand management lecturer. Today, Andrew interviews Swinburne alum Tristan Sternson, CEO, ARQ Group. Tristan, once a techie, now a CEO, is always trying to make a positive impact through digital technology solutions. Tristan is an expert in digital solutions, including data and analytics, cloud, security, mobile, web, and digital experiences. Tristan was the founder of leading data and analytics company InfoReady, which was acquired by the ARQ Group, formerly Melbourne IT, in 2016. Together with an amazingly talented team, Tristan has spent the last 4 years transforming the ARQ Group into a leading Australian digital tech services and solution provider. ARQ Group solutions are making a positive impact to many Australians every day across almost every industry. Tristan graduated with a Bachelor of IT from Swinburne in 2001. Over to you, Andrew.
Thanks, Louise, for that fabulous introduction, and welcome Tristan, calling all the way from Brisbane, I believe.
I am up in sunny Brisbane, although it looks like Melbourne outside today, a bit gloomy.
You mean beautiful and sunny?
Maybe I brought it with me.
So tell me a little bit about your current situation, because you're actually from Melbourne, I believe, but you're in Brisbane at the moment. How did that all happen?
I am. So yeah, from Melbourne, worked down in Melbourne, lived down in Melbourne, and what would have been about 6 weeks-ish ago, time-wise, time flies around here. Decided to come up to Brisbane. We've got our businesses in Melbourne, Sydney and Brisbane. So taking a bit of an opportunity after working from home for a while to actually, focus on an area of business I haven't had much time to focus on, and not an easy journey to get up here, but got up here and making the most of the time that we can. Yeah.
Did you have to partake in any sort of lockdown or 2-week vacation?
I did. I don't know if I'll call it vacation. Let's call it an adventure style holiday in an adventure park in Darwin.
Darwin, nice.
Darwin, yeah. Howard Springs holiday park.
Leisure resort.
Yeah. You can Google it and see what it's like. But it was a bit of fun. Good adventure with the family. Nice and hot, humid, but we got here.
What do the kids think of that, just by the way?
One kid thinks it's was the Nintendo Center, because that's all he did for 2 weeks. Yeah. And no, they had fun. It was old school. We took out the sprinklers. We brought sprinklers with us. We took out the hose. We had a little blow-up pool. It was, like a real adventure park. It was good.
It's what you do when you're managing a business, right? When you're Australia-wide, you can escape to sunny Brisbane and have some freedom up there, right?
Yeah. Exactly. It's the marker of success. You're successful when you can get on an aeroplane, take a hose pipe and a sprinkler and have a summer holiday.
It's not quite the south of France, but we'll make it do. So tell us a bit more about the business ARQ, because we see it on your T-shirt. I was very impressed with the merchandise. That's the sign of true success. Yep. Not a private plane. And but tell me a bit about the group. Give me a bit of a summary.
Well, we all wear these t-shirts. We love our merch around the office, which is good. So ARQ Group is, we provide digital solutions to enterprise and government customers effectively, and digital solutions being anything from a mobile app, a website, data and analytics, artificial intelligence, cloud solutions, or managed services. So it's a lot of buzzwords, a lot of digital tech in that, but effectively, if you probably used a lot of our tech. So if you've ever, well, most people have flown Qantas and used their loyalty or entertainment apps, that's us. Most of banking apps, we just built the National Careers Institute website, which is kind of a data and analytics solution with a website with a managed service and on the Microsoft's cloud. So it's those sorts of solutions, anything digital that enables you to kind of get back to or do any function. And easiest way to explain is mobile apps and websites, but we do a lot of call center optimization, a lot of the analytics behind personalization, artificial intelligence, health and safety solutions, a whole bunch of different things.
Yeah, wow. That sounds really techy. And I know that a lot of the alumni listening will be IT graduates. And unlike me in marketing, we like to use the buzzwords. We probably don't know what they mean though.
Yeah.
But you actually studied a Bachelor of Information Technology way back in 1998, I believe. Was that correct?
I did, yeah.
How did you find your way to Swinburne? Like, how did that come up to you? Why was the choice Swinburne?
So at the time I was looking I actually didn't know what I wanted to do, to be honest. I knew I came from a school which didn't really have much of a technology background. So, so technology was not the thing you did. You did law, you did medicine, you did physiotherapy, you did all the exciting kind of, that's where the high academia courses end up, as opposed to technology. And I wanted to do that, but I wanted to get into business consulting. I didn't know what to do. And came across the Swinburne course because it was a scholarship which had industry-based learning. So I think there were 2 courses in Victoria that did it at the time, but it was guaranteed to have two industry-based experiences, 20 weeks each. And it was a scholarship, so we got paid money to do it as well, which was great, which was effectively funded by the placement. And to me sounded like it was a business consulting side of technology, because I was the furthest thing from a technologist at the time. And in fact, my first role ended up being very technical, but I went into it wanting to be a business consultant. So, that's how I landed on it. And I was really attracted by a small cohort of people. I think there were 35 or 37 of us in our year.
Wow. Is that all? Interesting.
Yeah, many of which are still good mates. I think there are 2 of my mates from uni work with me now. We've had a whole bunch of BITs come through our business and work for us. So it's a very attractive course at the time.
Yeah, that's amazing. They do that workplace learning. So they actually get you a job and they actually give you money to do it in the course.
They did. And I went to IBM, GSA, which was fun. I think I worked in 2 areas of it. I went out to Ballarat to help with a help centre piece. And what was the other thing I did? I did something with finance. And the other one was at Philip Morris, back in the days when you could smoke in the office.
Very handy. You're smoking yourself?
No, I'm not. But I did have a gym there, which I was probably the only user of at the time.
Very handy. Yeah. So they were the 2. So they got you both of those placements. They had that sort of work experience to kind of set you up with your sort of future career. Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely. They still do. So we take students through every year. 2 students through and give them the opportunity to actually learn. So when you go out, into the workplace, you're ready. You've done something. And to me, that was a good way to sample what I wanted to do, because I didn't actually know what area of IT I wanted to get into or technology. Yeah. And back then it was, IT was just kind of either programming or help desk. That was what it was back then. So it's a bit different now.
Yeah, I did the Masters of Entrepreneurship, and I think we were expected to start our own business, not go and work in someone else's. So didn't quite have the same application. Yeah. So when you finished those placements, did you have an opportunity to stay there, or you wanted to move to somewhere else? Because I think you stayed at IBM for a little while, didn't you?
Yeah, no, I actually ended up back at IBM. No, so interesting one. I actually I went for a job at Philip Morris a bit later, but I actually wanted to do something a bit different. So my path beyond just being a business consultant was, I was always a bit of an entrepreneur myself and had some ideas and businesses I wanted to start, but I always had this 10-year game plan, which was work for a consulting firm, join a graduate program. And back then, PwC, EY, Deloitte, all those large international consulting firms would take you do a 3-month graduate placement. So I went off to Tampa in Florida.
Oh, wow.
For the time. and you do a 3-month training camp, and it was like the next level of education into the workplace. So I always wanted to do that. So I had that all lined up, and back then I think you had it lined up like almost as far out as 18 months before you finished the course. It was high demand. It was that .com boom. It was quite exciting. But I actually didn't start there though. I ended up starting somewhere else before that. .com crash and.
Was this Dodo? The Dodo experience I see on LinkedIn.
Yeah, it was. Yes. I started working with Dodo. In fact, I started working with Dodo before Dodo was actually called Dodo. That happened with Larry and his partners kind of came up with the idea over pizza and beer one night, and I think the name came up, and everyone thought it was a bit stupid, and the next day that was the name of the company, and success goes from there. So amazing, and a lot of that fed into my entrepreneurial flair too, to see such a successful entrepreneur I think he was 35 at the time, start such an amazing business.
Yeah, they grew really fast, didn't they? They're still going, I think. I think they're sold out though, but
yeah, they did. M2 and then Focus.
Yeah. So, I mean, everyone has a lot of twists and turns in their career from starting out to where you are now. And I want to delve into what's happening during the COVID period and how you've pivoted. But before we do that, you went over to the UK, I believe, and did some work over there.
I did, yes. It was kind of the thing to do, the trodden path. You kind of do 5 years in Australia, then you do some time in the UK, and now you come back. I think that'd be different now. I don't know how easy it would be to jump on a plane. And we've actually got a few staff members who I still encourage it for people. I think it's a great life experience. And but I went over and I worked I worked for a small company that was subcontracted to Accenture, and then ended up at Accenture, and then ended up at Accenture in Australia after that. It was a great experience. I kind of worked in the north of, I went over there thinking I'd work in London, landed in Southampton where my wife had a job, and it's not London. Let's put it there.
I've never been there actually. I've been to London, but not there.
No, we lived in a little quaint town called Winchester and travelled up to London. And I ended up on my first project with Barclays Bank for Accenture up in the north of England. So we ended up living up in Liverpool, which was a lot more exciting than being down in Southampton. It's good fun.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, great life experience. I think everyone should do some travel in that regard when we are able to. Yeah. So you stayed there for a bit, and then you ended up starting your own company. How did that all come about?
Yeah, so so having that kind of ability or want to kind of do something myself, I've had a few different pivots along the path and things that I've tried out. But when I started in the UK, I was actually working for another entrepreneur, a guy called Sarko Apgar, Group, an amazing business again. And I got to run effectively the north part of England and some of his customers up there. So it was all financial services. And that was I was working in partnership with Accenture. So it gave me a bit more experience. But I remember getting some advice from a cousin of mine back then who kind of said, if you're going to do something on your own, work out what's the best thing to do to get to where you need to be, what experience you need to do before you do it. And I'd worked for PwC, which arguably one of the best advisory firms in the world. And I thought, well, the next thing I need to do is I need to work for probably one of the best American consulting firms, one of the best delivery and sales organizations in the world. And that was Accenture. And I was currently doing some work with them. So I sourced out a way to get a job with them and ended up back in Australia and worked on probably the largest transformation program in Australia for Telstra and learnt a lot through that in the lead up to wanting to start my own business. So I always had that plan. Started back, what was the first thing I did? I think I did a Y2K bug fix that some people listening might
sold a lot of hardware back then, I remember.
Everyone made a buck out of that, but we all did something. But so I started from that, worked with these people along the way, and it kind of got me to, kind of want to do that. And then I got back to Australia, did my Accenture stint there, did well, loved the place, still very close to the guys there, and then started InfoReady off the back of that.
So how did the spark come? It sounds like you were attracted to entrepreneurs and fast-growing companies. So how did you where did the idea come from for InfoReady? Yeah,
so InfoReady was around information management. So at the time, if you think it was kind of GFC time, 2008, two things happened. One is that was the age of data. Data had started 10 years ago, whatever, and it was big. It come kind of that time frame. with the GFC kicking in, people were trying to look for more information around things, and coupled timing wise with, if you're working for a large international consulting firm in a global recession, or global financial crisis, the best time to leave is then, because that's probably when you're not going to get paid your full whack in a year, right?
Yeah.
You're going to take a risk. You're going to risk it less when you're got less to risk at that time. So data at the time was just taking off, and the big area was information management and governance, and that was what I did. I'd kind of fallen into that from all the way back at Dodo through PwC through Accenture. That was my practice. And there weren't that many independents in there. There were the big consulting firms, but there was no one small and boutique enough to say they're Australian and could kind of stand in and do stuff locally. So that was our aim, was to kind of A, be the local, and B, be a company that wasn't a large consulting firm, that would allow people like myself who were, I was a technical person to start with, although I never thought I would have been when I started uni.
Yeah.
But my path to leading a business was to become partner. Now I was on path for that at Accenture, and I was days away from that happening. But I recognised along the journey there were a lot of people that are bloody good at what they do, but they're not cut from that sort of path, right? They don't want to follow that textbook. And we want to be able to create opportunities for them to work in different areas. You get architects or technical people. I've got one guy in my business who's the best coder ever, and he'll always be the best coder ever. But and he can be paid at the partner level, but he doesn't need to be a partner of that, not a partner per se.
It's got a speciality. Yeah.
Exactly. So that's what we did. We wanted to create a place for technical people to be technical people and specialists to be specialists, and that's what we created back then. And it took off really quickly because all of a sudden we were trying to compete with the big brands. And I remember our first big win was against EY, and I remember the person who invited us to bid said, "I don't think you said at the end, I never thought you really had a chance, but when you brought all the people in, I looked at them, I go, well, actually, what I'm getting is exactly what I'm getting from the consulting firms, except you're local, you're cheaper, and you're guaranteeing those people will turn up on day one." And I'm like, yeah, isn't that what you should do?
Just do the right job.
Yeah.
So the business went well for a while, and then a bit of a change happened. So
we sold our business. So that was InfoReady, and we sold that to Melbourne IT in 2016. And back then we were going from data, kind of went information management, which was where we started the business, data and analytics. Then it moved into this kind of big data world. And during that big data world, everyone was looking at digital. Digital's kind of the next incarnation after that. And that brings in all the web and the mobile and cloud technologies. Melbourne IT at the time had been approached by Amazon, who coming to Australia, were looking for a couple of major partners. So they became a major partner of Amazon because they had a lot of web hosting and a lot of cloud solutions that they could potentially bring to them. So then they went about creating their own digital business, and that was based around the core facets of it, which at the time was basically cloud analytics, mobile, social, security. And they went and acquired ourselves, and they acquired another company called Outware Mobile, very similar to us, but we were data and analytics, and they were on the mobile and website. And they put them all together, and they had this amazing business that kind of touched everyone from a hairdresser to Telstra or a government department. And it was fantastic because they could deliver digital solutions. Now that path in theory was good, but in practicality was really, really hard to do. So 3 years after we were bought, we could kind of exit. I stayed on as a bit of an advisor to the business, and about 6 days when I was doing off-running other businesses I'd started around the place, and particularly in the US, I got a bit of a call back to say we need a bit of help. The business was too far down the path of trying to integrate into one business across their mass market business and their enterprise business, and had come into a bit of trouble. And being from the enterprise side, they wanted to put a CEO in place of the public company. It was public at the time, of the public company, and have that person kind of change the focus back to the enterprise, which was the biggest part of the business at that point. So I came back, I think it was September last year, and then the road changed considerably from there.
Yeah. So this is where we get into the pivot, right? So you're at Melbourne IT, you're CEO of one of the major groups. The world changes all of a sudden, and what do? What happens?
Yeah, I'll tell you what I first did. I got a phone call. I was in the taxi on the way to a holiday with my family, and I arrived in Sydney to get asked at a board meeting, well, not asked, but kind of being inducted as a CEO, and I'm in thongs and a pair of board shorts. And I think that might work up here in Brisbane, but in Sydney, in the big smoke,
that's not so good.
So you go buy yourself a suit and get inducted. But no, so what we did was we had to look at the businesses and say, well, let's go back to what the business stands for. And to me, it's very important to think of the DNA of a business. You can't change your DNA. And the DNA of the business was to be a leading Australian technology company. And what it had become was that, but in two parts. And they didn't really have a definition of which area was kind of the right part or the wrong part. So trying to be something for everyone. And, and a lot of times I've looked through a history of people that have tried to kind of create a business that can sell something to every Australian, for example. It doesn't work. You've got to focus on your knitting. So we engaged Macquarie Capital, and they looked at the businesses and came to the same conclusion. And I think the first chairman that I worked for under the Melbourne IT umbrella once said to me as well, I think, these businesses are probably better independent. Under the same umbrella, that can be okay, but not together. So we looked at separating them out, and we did that. And we had a big issue around debt, which we had to kind of reduce our debt levels. And one of the key things to that was to look at, well, will we sell one or both parts of the business? And at the same time, so we looked at the sale of the business, but we also had to focus both parts of the business back on what they were supposed to do and what they were good at. And we did that quite quickly. But when you've got growing debt, it's hard to not have to unlock some of that. So we had two amazing businesses and a lot of people who are really, really interested in these businesses. And when I was looking at it, I kept saying to myself, I wish I could own this part of the business. This is what I do. It's my bread and butter. We had 300, 400, 350 odd key people in the business in that part of the business alone, and 300 in the other part. And they're brilliant, just amazing solutions, amazing stuff that they've built. We had a solution last year, fires near me, that was saving lives during the fire season. And a lot of people have heard about that and what we do. So we do some amazing stuff. And I thought it's too good to let go. So we ended up buying that half of the business. So we put it to market, and we ran through a fair process with everyone else. And I kind of thought, well, I want to stay involved in that, and that's my area. So went along with that, and it was an awesome opportunity. So now we've gone public to private. And then the other half of the Melbourne IT equation, the ARQ Group, is now Web Central is going through its own acquisition with 5G network. So both companies will end up in great homes to grow them back to where they were as market dominating businesses. Yeah,
isn't that amazing that you've done the entrepreneurial dream, you started a business, sold out, think you're going to be retiring, and then got sucked back into the vortex. But what an opportunity, right? I mean, I can see your passion. You're a young guy, you got plenty to give. So, what's the next little part for you? Tell me how you're reacting right now with what's going on. Like you've gone to Brisbane. How are you going with the staff and everything?
Yeah, I think so. How we're reacting right now, I think the key thing is really back to what I said around in the last point around the DNA. We as a business are at our best when we're trying to solve not complex problems, but we're trying to create opportunities in market, emerging technology, how things change. COVID is a new world. We go to a new normal, and we want to play a real pivotal part in that for digital technology, and that's accelerated enormously in the market. So, providers like us, which can do those end-to-end solutions, can really change how we do things. And that for us is how our team gets together, and we get really rallied together around it. And so, for us, that's highly engaging. That's what we want to do from me down to our graduates. So being up in Brisbane is great because, I can sit here. A lot of this is our managed service centre. And actually, I come from the building side of the solutions, but actually see the operate side is really good. And, I've always been encouraged by these CEOs like, back in Australia Post, years ago, I remember watching Ahmed Flower and then Christine Holgate, when they go in and they physically go into their retail outlets or their distribution networks, or they see how things operate, or in Coles, you go stack shelves or something like that. So for me to actually sit in the call center or on the support center and actually see how we support something 24/7 is really cool. So it's engaging and helping me better the business from that perspective. And also working with the local market up here too. So it's quite amazing to see what the opportunities are out there for us.
Yeah, and you sound so positive. I mean, you're even hiring people at the moment, correct?
Yeah. So what a year. We started the year. So we acquired the business in March this year. So if you wind back to the time frame, we've got private equity backing in Quadrant. We've gone through this transaction, a business that's not doing amazingly well. The first stage in that was there was an earnings downgrade and all other things, everything that should be red flags for a private equity firm. You finally get them across the line, and this is the firm that we wanted to work with because we'd chosen who we wanted and who's going to be best. We didn't necessarily need to raise all the money, but we thought we need someone who's going to help us grow quickly. We choose Quadrant, and then we get there, we do the deal, and then a week later, COVID hits.
Whoa!
And you think, well, just imagine that any investment banker or private equity firm. If this had happened a week or two later, we probably wouldn't be here with this deal. We probably had to go it alone. And then, wind forward 4 weeks, we're like, there'll be small impacts. Who knows what will happen? We're getting McKinsey reports about it's only going to be a 1 quarter impact. And then Qantas stops flying, right? Our biggest customer, 50 of our staff, right? And we're like, what's going to happen now? And since then we've hired, we've had 50 people we've had to place onto other work, and we've hired another 100 people on top of that.
Wow.
So, technically we started with 300 on day one, roughly, and we've kind of pivoted 150 almost to, if you put it into perspective. So we've had enormous growth, but, and with great solutions too. So it's really impactful stuff that we're doing.
Yeah. And it wouldn't have happened unless you're leading the team in the right direction, forming the right partnerships and structuring it well. So, do take your hat off to yourself and pat yourself on the back for leading that change, because 100 more people have jobs, and I think that's a good thing in these times, right?
It's amazing, and that's that's a big thing. It's engagement during these times, and I'm a glass half full person, so I look at the positives of everything, and this has been the most engaging 6 months, 9 months for me with the business, and being a new owner of a business where we had the info ready part, but that's a third of this business. I don't know everyone else. It's a great opportunity to kind of be on Zoom calls, in people's lounge rooms, having a real conversation with them, get to know them properly. Go out, like up here in Brisbane, I've gone out with people that I've never met before just to kind of have a dinner, go to a sporting event or something, just to get to know people. And I think it's the most engaging I've ever found myself with people. Well, because I've been pushed into the opportunity through this video conferencing, right? We're not sitting in a room together. We're over a video conference. I can see your diploma in the background. I can see everything else. So I get to know you a lot better through that. And I think that's really helped our business. So that's the opportunity I might never get again, right? Yeah. And I think we all hope we don't get it again because it's a pandemic. But you've got to drive on those opportunities, and that's been really good for our business.
Yeah, I love your sort of kudos. And so imagine, the Swinburne alumni are out there and they're listening, and I'm going to invite them to contribute on LinkedIn soon in the LinkedIn group. But what's the last piece of advice? If you had one piece of advice to give for people during this time, what would it be?
Yeah, the advice I give is the same I give to everyone. It's live your purpose. So if you live your purpose, and our purpose is what's ingrained in our DNA, and our purpose is around building meaningful digital solutions that can impact people's lives, you'll always find what you need, what you need to deliver and how to get there. Because you believe in it, you have the passion, you'll deliver to what you want. It's where you tread off the course somewhere or you do something else and it's kind of hard sometimes. You kind of led down different paths. That's where you find issues come, and you've got to quickly correct yourself. So we live our purpose every day. Anytime we have a solution, doesn't matter what the financial commercial outcome of it is. When we have a good solution, we all get around it and we rally behind it, and our team are just so engaged through that. And that's what we do. If we can see someone using one of our solutions and it can have a meaningful impact, positively on their life, well, that's what we wake up for in the morning, and that's what we do.
Oh man, I love the culture. That's awesome. Would you mind heading over to the LinkedIn group and having a chat with some people if they've got some additional questions?
Yeah, no, definitely. Love to answer a few questions.
Awesome. Tristan, I want to thank you so much for your time. That was some sage advice, and good for all the people from young students to people emerging businesses, and even the more mature people like myself out there to listen to. So I really do appreciate your time. If you have questions for Tristan or myself, please head over to the Swinburne Alumni LinkedIn group. If you're not already a member, you can find the group by searching Swinburne University of Technology Alumni, or by clicking the link provided in the invitation to this event. Now, make sure you join us for next week, which is episode 2, Opportunity in Chaos, where we speak to the incredible Jen Sharp, who is the founder and managing director of Think HQ. Jen will take us through her journey as an entrepreneur and share her experiences including when she thought she might lose her business due to COVID-19. It's a remarkable story. So thanks very much, Tristan, and we'll see you next week.
Andrew. See ya.